y'all doing? I'm going to talk about the property/house confiscation, okay, for Central American illegals, because they are coming in droves right now, and the Biden administration is not doing anything about it. In fact, he's encouraging them to come. Okay, see, there's a lot of issues there. Now, the Haitians, they are sending back to Haiti, to Port-au-Prince. They're not letting the Haitians come in. Now, see, the person who's in charge, the Secretary of Homeland Security, he's a Cuban refugee. So he's going to give preference to the Central American illegals. He's going to give preference to the Venezuelans, anyone that's Spanish speaking, and the Cubans. But the Haitians, he sent them back to Port-au-Prince already. All the Haitians he put on the plane sent back. Because he's a Cuban refugee, he's going to give preference to Spanish-speaking illegals. Because actually the whole goal of Central America is to take over the United States. And they're already taking over California. When they come to a state, they're going to take it over neighborhood by neighborhood. That's their goal. And they've already turned Queens into everywhere they go, they turn into a poverty city. They've turned Queens into a poverty city. They have turned Hartford, Connecticut into a poverty city. Everywhere they go, they turn into poverty cities. Everywhere. Now, these illegals, they don't have any job skills. They have no verifiable resume. They have no money except drug money. They have no education. The average education is at second grade level. So they come here in droves to get the welfare. They know the government's going to pay for housing. The government's going to pay for food stamps, education, and welfare check. They all know that. All the foreigners know what the government pays for, and they know that. So in my opinion, there's going to be a housing shortage. There already is a housing shortage. Okay, so they're going to confiscate. What the government's going to do, they're going to confiscate land from Americans and give it to the Central Americans. They have already done that. And I'm going to explain that in a minute. Now, these ministries that own the 300-acre tract, the government's going to take 250 acres of that and say, look, we're going to give it to these illegals and build them houses. The government's going to build the houses. Okay, if you're a private citizen and you own 200 acres of farmland, the government's going to confiscate that, and the government will probably take at least 150 acres, and they're going to give them to the Central American illegals and build houses for them. Okay, it's coming. I know that it's coming. Now, Black Americans, they have never done that for Black Americans. They didn't even give us 40 acres in the mule. Now, see, you got to understand the illegals. The illegals do not pay rent out of their own pocket. They do not buy food. They did not even pay for eyeglasses. Because I went to an eyeglass case. I had to pay cash for my eyeglasses, but the illegals that were there, they were there for like an hour processing paperwork because Uncle Sam pays for it. They have already thrown blacks out of housing, particularly in California. That's why a lot of blacks are on Skid Row, because they have thrown blacks out of housing and put the Central American in there. Okay? And they're doing it in every major city. They throw blacks out of houses and put black people on the street and put the Central American illegals in houses. Central American illegals, they're in the nice houses, nice apartments with washers and dryers in them and so on. They're already doing that. I mean, in West Virginia, the government of West Virginia confiscated some property and built brand new townhouses for the Syrian refugees. Plus, they built the mosque. All at the expense. Now, West Virginia I'm from Appalachia. West Virginia has never done that for Appalachians, ever. Built no churches for us. They never built housing for us, nothing. Now, if you are like a homeowner, let's say that you're just your house is sitting on 2 acres. What the government's going to do is the government's going to compensate about an acre. And they're going to say, we're going to build 1 or 2 houses for these Central American illegals. They're going to confiscate your property. They're not going to ask you, they're going to confiscate it. Because they got to go somewhere. So what do? You take the property from private Americans to accommodate them. Now, they have never done that for blacks. Like I said, blacks never got 40 acres in the mule. And they have hardly done that for whites. Now, I admit that in the 1800s, in the 1800s, they gave free land to the Europeans. Okay? But they have never given anything to the blacks, never given anything to the American Indians, ever. But they're going to give it to these Central American illegals who import poverty, lack of education, and they're going to bring down everybody. They already destroyed the schools. Already have destroyed. That's already a done deal. 12th graders are at a 3rd grade level. They have already destroyed the public schools. That's already a done deal. So why does Americans pay favoritism with Central Americans? Why? Because they have, if America doesn't have cocaine, fentanyl, marijuana, all these drugs, our economy will collapse. So Central America has what we want, which is fentanyl, cocaine, etc. Okay, so that's why. That's the only explanation. But they're going to take from Americans and give to them. They already do it. There are some apartment complexes. See, there's some nice apartment complexes where I live. And they tell the blacks, well, you don't have a good enough credit, so you can't rent here. But yet they allow illegals who have no credit rating to live there in droves. In fact, most of it is illegals in that apartment complexes. So they are going to confiscate your property. They are going to do it. The government's going to buy abandoned towns, rebuild them for illegals. They're going to buy these HUD homes, these abandoned HUD houses, give them to illegals. Don't even charge them for it. Going to give them to, which is more than they have done for American citizens. Screw Americans. Look, now the government will not give Americans a house. They let Americans live out of their cars. Screw Americans. But it's coming. Land confiscation is coming. Bye.